it long enough.
Welcome, Husker Nation, to Post Game Spread, presented by Hurrdat Sports.
His second interception on the season. Multiple flags come down on the return.
Breaking down the highs and lows of what we just witnessed from our beloved Cornhuskers.
5, touchdown Nebraska.
It's time to let it all out. Join the conversation on YouTube or Twitter at Hurrdat Sports, or live in person at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
I'm done. Let's go.
It's time for Post Game Spread.
Spread it on.
Welcome into the post-game spread. I'm Ravi Lula, Jared Hall here with me as well. We are live from the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill following Nebraska's 20-17 loss to Michigan State. I'm going to be honest. We're just going to jump right into this. First of all, you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you can stream Hurrdat Sports content. Make sure you do that. I hated almost everything that happened today.
Let it all hang. Listen, the guy on the little narrator before we come on, he says, "Let it all hang out."
Yeah, post game spread.
Let it all hang out, man.
I hated almost everything that happened today. It was from top to bottom, total. I think we can swear on this podcast. Total shit. This was awful.
It was dog shit.
It was, from the jump, like the defense ended up playing okay.
They did.
But
yeah,
they still looked flat compared to what we had seen in recent weeks against, and listen, Michigan State's not better than the teams that Nebraska just played. I don't think so. Not in a significant way.
You guys, Michigan State, we don't need to sugarcoat this. They were 2-6 coming in.
Michigan State's bad.
They're a bad team. Every statistical category through 8 games.
They're a bad team.
You would see next to their little number or average, it was 100 something in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good team. We don't need to pretend like they are, or, actually Michigan State's kind of decent. We don't need to say those things. This is not a good Michigan State team.
It's a terrible Michigan State team.
With an interim head. Look, you can talk about the intangibles.
I don't care. I don't care about the intangible. I don't care about, it's the senior day or whatever happened. No, they wanted to win one for Harlan. I don't give a single damn about any of that. This is a bad Michigan State team.
They are.
And Nebraska played terrible. Nebraska played like dog shit. I don't know how else to say it.
They came out flat. I think, do we say that they felt the pressure to get to 6th today? They felt it.
I don't know if they felt it or if they hadn't been on the road in a while or what it was. They played terrible. And listen, we'll get to the officiating. The officiating wasn't good. Nebraska wasn't good either. Okay? Let's start there. I try very hard not to be a blame it all on the officials guy. Were there things that definitely impacted the game? I'm looking at you, Michigan State touchdown that got them to 20, where the ball was literally entirely on the ground. I didn't know how you could have a hand here, football here, another hand here on the ground. Oh, that's a catch apparently somehow.
And the ball hits the green grass with no control. He did not establish control.
No. Yes. And there you had a pass interference on Malachi Coleman. That was a really terrible call, or really terrible no call. You had a bunch of terrible officiating. Nebraska did not deserve to win this game. They played awful. Heinrich Harburg has been atrocious. I said this on Twitter. He played like deep fried ass.
Deep fried ass.
That's the most colorful imagery I could paint.
If that doesn't put an image in your head, deep fried ass. Look, he goes 12 for 28.
First of all, why in God's name are you throwing it 28 times?
28 times.
And don't just say it's because they were behind, because 15 of them came in the first half. Okay, so they were basically on pace.
They passed more in the first half.
Yes,
than they did
all of last game. He was 6 of 11 last game against Purdue.
15
in each half. He passed more than he did against all of Purdue.
And coming into this game, I said Michigan State's pass defense is atrocious. Through 8 games, they were ranked 100th and something, almost last in FBS. But that doesn't mean that you need to go out there and throw even 20 passes in the whole game. You don't need, this is not the strength of your team.
12 to 15 is the number. Unless you want to go to the guy that Coach Rule has said is the best pure passer on the team in Chubba Purdy. If you want to go to that, if you want to throw the ball 28 times, you have to go to him. Like, if that's your game plan, you cannot have that game plan. You can't have Harburg throwing it 30 times.
Can't have it.
Like, and there was at least 30 called pass plays because he got sacked a couple times. Like, you cannot have Harburg drop back to throw 30 freaking times. He can barely throw.
30 times is, I think that's mind-numbing. Just us sitting here.
I've said all year, 12 to 15 is his cap. 12 to 15 pass attempts.
And you doubled that. You more than doubled that.
You did that each half. Like, you cannot. I'm over the Harburg thing. I get it was a cute story. I'm over it.
I hear you. I
get when they were winning, you're like, oh, we kind of have to stick with him. I'm done. I don't care if it's Sims, which I don't think is much better. Like, but if you're telling me, like, here's the things we know about Chubba Purdy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we know without a doubt. For the most part, Rule has been honest with us about what has been going on with the team, where guys are at. I feel like I don't know that he's overtly lied to us that I'm aware of, okay?
Agreed.
He has told us unequivocally that Chubba Purdy is the best pure passer. He has told us unequivocally that Chubba Purdy was ahead of Heinrich Harburg until he got banged up.
This is true.
So you're telling me I can't even see Chubba Purdy? We're not in a position where it's like, hey, maybe he's worth a look-see?
He is giving in signs to the other quarterback. That is all he's doing right now. He is like, they showed Sims, so they had that graphic with Harburg, Sims, Purdy all on the same screen. You know, Sims has got his helmet on.
Yep.
Purdy's got his headset. He's ready to call in the next signal. He ain't.
And listen, if Purdy's not getting reps in practice, that's fine. Like, I'm willing to see Jeff Sims again. I get it's not been any better, but at least he has some sort of track record in terms of at Georgia Tech of being somewhat effective as a quarterback. The track record of Harburg being effective as a quarterback is basically non-existent because even on the games they were winning, it's not like he was lighting the world on fire. He had a couple chunk plays early and with his feet, and he had another one today where he almost scored. But you can't tell me that 3 turnovers, because he had, or is it 3 or 4?
So he had 2 picks,
4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, because he had the one at the end. The end was a fumble too.
Yeah,
you can't. Oh, they didn't lose that one though. So 3 turnovers, but 2 picks and 2 fumbles. One of them lost. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me that that's better. I mean, that's exactly what you were getting out of Sims.
That's exactly why Sims isn't playing anymore.
Yes.
I know.
Like, you can't.
It's tough, man.
Like, now that he's taken a loss, we have to reevaluate the Harburg situation. A loss against somebody that's not Michigan.
It was easy when they were pulling out dubs.
Won 5 out of 6.
It's easy to overlook the flaws. It's easy.
I mean, it was easier. It wasn't like easy, but it was easier.
It was easier to digest. Hey, they got the win. It's okay.
Yeah, you'll forgive anything in a win.
Yeah, it's okay. They got the win. The defense did what they had to do. Special teams was okay.
But this was not a step up in competition.
This was Michigan State is, and look, this is kind of goes back to my point about did they feel the pressure? If you look at the rest of their schedule, technically, this was their best chance.
This was the easiest opportunity left.
To get the 6. Get that 6. Worry about the rest later. This was the opportunity to get it. You know, you look ahead, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa versus Michigan State. You would think that Michigan State would be the easier game to get.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it got to their head. I don't know, but you're right. Now that a loss has been tacked on, and not just that, okay, it would be one thing if Harburg played a solid game.
He did not.
And the defense let up, right?
He did not play a solid game.
And that did not happen.
He did not play a solid game.
So now this becomes is Harburg the guy next week kind of discussion.
I don't know how you I don't know how you put him back out there. I don't. And honestly, I understand that Jeff Sims has looked just as bad. But Harburg looked not just bad, but like actively inept.
And yeah. like a detriment.
Yeah, I mean, the places he was throwing the ball. I mean, he'd been inaccurate before, right? But now he's inaccurate, making the wrong decisions, and turning it over. Like, what is he doing well that we're continuing to put him out there? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Like, what is the thing that he brings to the table now that somebody else doesn't? Does anyone have an answer to that question?
You look back on that first interception, right? You could say it's an arm punt. It's a punt. Michigan State is now on their own 4.
But it was an arm punt where he had Alex Bullock wide the F open, and he missed him by 20 yards. He needed to throw that ball toward the sideline because Bullock had beaten his defender. You just lead him back outside, and he threw it to the dead middle of the field on the other hash, and the receiver was like, "Oh," and the cornerback was like, "Oh, thank you. What a gift."
It's not like the defender had to make a play.
No, he threw it to the defender. I
think he fair caught it.
He's like, "I see where that safety's throwing. I want to throw it right there."
Oh, boy.
Like, what are we doing? And then the second one, I think he threw it at triple coverage.
So I don't think that was an interception.
Oh, no, he didn't actually intercept it. They missed the pick on that one.
But that should have been. I mean,
he threw a bunch of interceptable balls that weren't intercepted. He threw a bunch of balls that could never have been caught by anyone.
Yeah.
He was making the wrong reads. He had guys running wide open, and instead he's throwing into triple coverage. And by the way, he's fumbling and throwing interceptions and doesn't do anything on the ground until that one play at the end where they are all expecting a pass.
This offense up to this point had been kind of a boomer bust.
Yeah.
And there was so many bust until that big run play at the very end. Just, you're right. That was one of the Harburg was it's inept.
That play at the end felt exactly like, you know how every loss under Frost was like, oh, they only lost by 1 score. It's like, yeah, but they were down 2 touchdowns and they scored late to make it 1 score.
Right.
That's what that run was by Harburg.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, technically you lost by 1 score, but the reason you got that score is because they were playing conservative up 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only reason that score happened, because they were playing like a straight prevent defense.
So much green.
Yeah, because they're expecting you to throw deep, because that's what you usually do in that situation. And that's what they were trying to do in that situation, to be fair. Like, Nebraska was trying to throw the ball in that situation.
Yes, they were.
You cannot, if anyone can tell me what Heinrich Harburg is still bringing to the table, I would love to hear that, because I don't see it. I don't see anything. Like, you can get exactly what you got today out of, I would imagine, anyone else on the roster.
It's just too bad the last time you saw Jeff freaking Sims, he's giving up
a touchdown
on the same play that he fumbled. Like, it's just
that's why I'm not tied to Jeff Sims. Like, that's why I'm a little.
You're a Chubba guy. You're Chubba.
I mean, listen, I'm a little. I just want to see it. Listen,
I know
if you're, and here's the other thing that Rule has said. He believes that there's 3 quarterbacks they can win with. Okay, well, we've tried the other 2. Let's try the third one. I mean, why not? What do you have to lose at this point?
And, you look back on Chubba's, I think a lot of people would look at Chubba and how he played last year and didn't look great.
No, but Harburg couldn't even get on the field last year.
Harburg was catching passes as a tight end in Minneapolis
earlier this season.
So I'm just trying to look at this from the fan perspective of, okay, we saw a lot of Chubba last year.
We saw some. We didn't see a lot. We saw some.
You saw him. I think he started 3-4 games last year, right? Something like that.
Did he start 3 games?
I think.
Year? I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up.
But that sounds high. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it out.
I think if you just ask the average fan, they would say, "We saw Chubba last year. It did not look good." They would bring. Of course, it didn't help that Mark Whipple was the OC, and there was all of that dynamic going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people would just say, I think we saw enough Chubba last year to know that he's probably not going to bring enough to the table that you should seriously consider him.
I mean,
now that you
we haven't seen enough out of Harburg.
I know.
I mean,
I'm just trying to come at it from another perspective, because there are going to be Chubba detractors.
Listen,
but then there's going to be.
I'm a Chubba detractor. I'm not sitting here being like, I love
banging the table.
Listen, I watched him at Florida State. It was bad. I watched him last year. I watched him in the spring game. It's been bad. You know what's also really, really bad? Heinrich Haarberg.
Deep fried.
Ass.
What more could you say?
I mean, listen, I understand that there's no good options right now.
That's the thing, man.
Okay, I get it. But if you have no good options, maybe we don't throw 28 GD times.
Mm-hmm. And, I'm looking
is that a big ask?
I don't think it is. I really don't. I think you're being completely reasonable here.
I think so, too. I don't want to throw it 28 times if I don't have anyone I like at quarterback.
Maybe they went to East Lansing and, the weather is what? In the mid 40s and it's not windy. Maybe they figured, maybe we could get away with this. Throwing it 28 times. Wrong.
But why? I mean, I think that's the most times they've thrown all year.
I think it is.
I think that is the most pass attempts they've had all year.
Yeah. And you think of game 1 where Nebraska forced Minnesota to throw it so many times, which is not their identity.
Yeah.
And it kind of seemed that way today.
Yeah, except for Michigan State didn't force Nebraska to do anything. Nebraska's just like, hey, let us help you out here a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm looking at I'm trying to look at Haarberg's game logs here. And he
talking about Chubba or Haarberg?
Haarberg.
Okay.
His high, I believe, was 25 times against Michigan, where, by the way, you did have to pass it because you were down by 1 million instantly. This was not the case. You were tied at 10 at halftime. Man. You know what happens when you're tied at 10? It means you don't have to catch up because you're tied. That's famously what being tied means.
0-0. You hear it so many times. 0-0.
They acted like they were down by 30 at halftime. I got to air it out, guys. They acted like they were down by 30 to start the game.
It felt so when it was tied at half. I'm trying to think back to how I felt. I felt
like they were going to be okay because they had just tied it to go into half.
I felt fortunate to be tied.
Be in that position, yeah, because they hadn't played well.
And dude, if you think back, there were some stupid Michigan State penalties to close out that first half.
Oh yeah, they helped out. They were part of the cause. They were helping.
You we're going to talk about the refs and how they made bad calls. Michigan State at the close of the first half gifted Nebraska with stupid penalties.
Yep.
And I felt fortunate that they were tied at 10. I don't know how much this needs to be like a Heinrich Haarberg discussion because I agree with you, man. You got to try something else.
I think Heinrich Haarberg is the discussion because
you're not going to get a lot of pushback from me.
So 28 times is the most they've thrown all season. In a game
today. In
a game in which they were tied at halftime, in a game in which you're not going up against a juggernaut offense in Michigan State. Why on earth are you throwing 28 times? Why?
I have nothing for you.
And maybe
nobody else sitting in this chair, I don't think would have anything for you.
And maybe only 5 or 6 of those were in the last couple drives. Because he fumbled twice, so those didn't even count as pass attempts. I mean, I don't get it. I don't like it.
Speechless.
I don't even know what to do with it.
Baffling.
It's completely baffling. And I think you have to have a serious discussion if you're Matt Rule and company about figuring something. If you're not going to figure something else out at quarterback, then he needs to have a come to Jesus meeting with Satterfield and be like, hey, chill the F out on throwing the ball with Haarberg.
28 times.
I'm talking about, again, 12 to 15 times a game. I want them all to be play action deep shots. That's it. I don't want him reading a defense. I want roll out.
Get him out of the freaking pocket.
Yes, so this is all I want. So this is the only pass attempts I want from Haarberg for the rest of the year, if he's going to be the guy. And I realize this is not realistic, and I'm going to say it anyway. Okay? 12 attempts a game, tops. I want them all to be play action, roll out. He's got one read. It's a deep shot.
If it's not there,
then you just go or throw it the F away.
Throw it to Ravi Lula in row 50, wherever the hell he's sitting.
Throw it to me here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
That's right.
And if it doesn't get to me, it'll land somewhere out of bounds, which is fine. Right. But for the love of God, quit asking him to read a defense because he can't or chooses not to or thinks his arm is better than it is, that he reads something and is like, you know what's way cooler than throwing to the open guy underneath? Shoving it into triple coverage. That's awesome. Love shoving it in triple coverage.
Cringe.
I don't The only pass, like this should be like the Service Academy offenses where the only time they pass is off a play action fake when they're like, hey, we're going to take a deep shot here.
Billy G.
Like, I can't deal with this anymore. I cannot do it.
See, people need to understand that you're asking to see Chubba. I'm not necessarily saying to see Chubba, but I think what the people need to understand is this quarterback room, no matter who you look at, is flawed as all hell. Cannot trust one of them to do like basic
QB
quarterbacking stuff.
Yeah, basic QB shit.
Like when you look at Heinrich Harburg, I love Service Academy football. I love watching Army,
I do too.
Navy, Air Force, my favorite.
Absolutely.
That is the kind of quarterback that you have, is a Service Academy quarterback right now.
Basically.
In the Big Ten, they can't throw a pass. And look, I do want to give credit somewhat. There are a few drops that I can remember off the top of my head.
The one to Bullock.
Listen, I get it. But look, 6 for 11, that's what I want.
Yes.
6 for 11, just over 50%. That is my expectation for, even if it is Sims, even if it is
whoever it is. Yeah, I don't care who it is.
6 for 11.
I don't care who it is. I don't want more than 15 pass attempts a game.
28. Can we just say that again? 28.
And at least 30 called dropbacks.
Yes, because you factor in the sacks.
I think 32. If you factor in the sacks and fumbles, I think 32 called dropbacks.
I am not drinking enough for this.
No, I didn't drink all game. And then about 7 minutes left, I was like, I'm going to need a beer before we go on the air here.
There's the question of, is the quarterback of the future on this roster?
God, no. No.
If it's yes,
then next year is going to look the exact same as this year, which nobody wants.
Which, hey, 5-4.
Listen,
could be worse.
I still think they can get to a bowl game, obviously. They have to win. I mean, they have to get to a bowl game.
In order to go.
They can't go 0-4 on the way out here. Like, that is not, like, that's going to be ugly.
The vibes would be
not immaculate.
Not good vibes.
Not good vibes. You have to get one more on the way out. If you can get it against Wisconsin or Iowa, even better. But
please, God,
you have to get one more here.
And you had predicted 8-4. It's probably not going to happen.
No, not if you're going to play like this.
But
if you're playing like you did last week, absolutely, that's on the table. If you play like this and you play like deep fried ass, no, not going to happen.
If Harburg goes or Sims or Chubba, if they can go 6 for 11 against Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa, 8-4, could happen. But I tend to think that I've given Sat some crap, and I recognize that he doesn't have the athletes. There's a lot of injuries. I get it. But I just feel like offensive coordinators, and it's not just Sat, but offensive coordinators generally try to prove to everyone else why they are making the amount of money that they are.
How smart they are.
And they try to be cute, and they try to draw up things that necessarily don't line up with their players' strengths. But there were some plays where they went away from. There was a lot of like end around kind of runs with people, and
they were really creative with the running game early.
And I just felt like they went away from that.
Yeah. And they didn't even really use it to set up other stuff. Like, I understand, I thought they were either going to continue using that as part of the running game, or they were going to use that to set up some sort of play action pass or trick pass or whatever.
Yeah.
And we didn't see any of it. It was just like, nope, we're just going to abandon that part, the thing that was kind of working, and just leave it alone there. Not a big deal. Just pretend like that didn't exist.
Throw some more.
We're only going to get Emmett Johnson 13 carries, even though he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Don't worry though. We're gonna have a lot of Heinrich Harburg runs, which is fine, right? It's he's a good runner, but we're gonna get 9 Anthony Grant runs in there. They only ran the ball 41 times, and again, at least 4 of those were dropbacks that Harburg got sacked on.
Yeah.
So you're talking pretty close to 50-50. Nebraska can't be a 50-50 team in terms of running and passing.
No.
This needs to be like a 70-30 team.
Just that running back rotation. I know we talk about it.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Emmett Johnson will have a nice run out. And Anthony Grant go in. Anthony Grant will start today. I don't know why. Whatever. Okay. It just feels mishmash. Whatever.
None of it makes any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Fleeks had 4 carries for 19 yards. didn't get any more touches. Like, I don't understand the running back rotation. If you're going to continue to play, and honestly, like you said, it's probably with any quarterback, right? Any quarterback they have on the roster, you probably need to be in that 12 to 15 pass range. Anything more than that, you're asking guys to do things that they are not capable of.
Which is not good coaching.
They have proven to you they are not capable of it. Like, over and over again, they have proven it.
And maybe in practice they're great. Maybe in practice they're great.
But guess what? This isn't practice.
This is not practice.
Like, I don't care what it looks like in practice at this point. We know what it looks like in games. You have to knock it the F off, Marcus Satterfield, and stop putting them in positions where they cannot succeed. That's the part that is driving me crazy more than anything. And listen, I'm not generally – I don't put a ton of this on Satterfield in terms of the overall – how the offense has looked, because I don't think it's all on him with the injuries and everything like that.
It's true.
But a lot of what we saw today was on him.
It was.
A lot of what we saw today with the play calling and everything like that was on him. I need that to be better. I need that to be at least somewhat cohesive with what you have on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
I can't deal with just, I'd like to throw it 30 times a game, so we're going to have Harburg throw it 30 times a game. That's stupidity.
And now you're going in against teams
that are better.
Technically they are better than Michigan State. And yes,
not technically, they just are. Michigan State's not good.
They are.
Michigan State's bad.
Yes,
okay?
just in case we forgot, Michigan State is not a good team.
Michigan State is trash. This was their first conference win. This was they were 2-6. Michigan State is trash.
What's Michigan State's interim coach's name?
Harlan something.
Harlan. Thank you. That's enough. You don't even need Harlan something.
Bennett.
Ravi.
Yeah,
you said
Barnett. Harlan.
Okay,
Barnett.
let's show him a little bit of respect. You're right, Coach Harlan Barnett. You said yourself, Ravi. He's on the sidelines trying to hype people up.
Dude, nobody reacts to him. He looks like a 2005 NCAA football game where they would show fans in the stands, but they only had enough graphic space that one guy could be doing something and the rest of them were just poster board. It looked like COVID out there where you've got one guy.
Yes.
And then all the cutouts were just, that's what Harlan Barnett was doing. He was freaky. He was doing a bunch of stuff on the sidelines and everybody just standing behind him like their cardboard cutouts. I don't think this was a big, real emotional, let's win one for Harlan deal.
He's up by the ref trying to call a timeout and the ref's like, wait, who are you?
It's like he was, how they superimpose graphics on the television that no one in live can actually see?
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure Harlan Barnett is not a superimposed graphic of a coach.
He's just an NPC in a freaking video game.
Yes.
And yet,
he just beat Nebraska.
Michigan State wins the game. And look, we all predict, if anyone predicted a Michigan State win before this game, I would love to meet you. I would love to give you credit where it's due, but nobody.
I don't think I would like to meet them because they're probably those insufferable fans.
Yeah.
They're like, Nebraska's never going to be good again.
They're going to blow it. This is too good of vibes. I don't like this. Something's going to go wrong. Where's the other shoe at? It's going to drop.
Yeah. It's no, I don't want to meet that person. That person sucks.
But now you look at it and it's like, well, maybe they were right.
No, they weren't really right because they predict that every game. They were predicting against Purdue. They predicted against Northwestern. They predicted against Illinois.
You're right.
That's just how that person lives.
When you're negative so much.
And I don't want to live like that.
You might be right every once in a while. It doesn't mean you're always freaking right.
Yeah. And listen, in Nebraska lately, they've been right more often than not. That doesn't mean that's how I want to live my life. Man.
Well, look, other phases of the game.
The special teams were bad too today.
Special teams.
What is going on with Buschini?
Buschini did not look good.
No.
Okay, there was a point in time where his average was under 35 yards a punt.
Very bad.
And it'd be one thing, and look, he did have one tipped, but this was after.
The one that was tipped was his longest punt of the day.
It's the longest punt.
I don't understand what's happening.
This was a game that, again, the weather.
Not
the
a
weather
factor.
Was nice.
Not a factor.
No wind.
Not a factor.
45 degrees. This is prime Buschini weather. This is supposed to be the game where you don't have some stupid special teams crap happening.
Nope.
It's supposed to be clean on special teams. And Tristan Alvano, credit to you. You did what you had to do. But the punting game.
Yeah.
Buschini needs to be better. You're not Caleb Lightbourne going out there. True freshman after a tragedy.
Yeah.
Right. This guy
He's been the starter for a couple years. He was at FCS before this.
He's been there. He needs to do He needs to do better.
I don't know what you do when your guy is constantly punting at 30 yards. Like, that's a high school punt.
Shanking it.
Like, what do you
not even being pressured? Yeah. There's not. What do you do?
And
there's no other punter on the roster. This is it. Are you putting Jeff Sims back there to punt?
I think Bleak Road can punt. I think. I don't know
either. I thought you were being serious for a second. I don't know.
I think he can. I think that's technically the backup punter. Here's the other. So let's talk special teams for a minute here, because it's not all Harburg's fault, although a lot of it is. The punt return situation.
Billy Kemp
was only in the game today to fair catch punts. There were at least two where he had, I know there was one where he had about 20 plus yards of open space, and it was very clear he was not allowed to do anything else besides fair catch.
That's right.
I need them to figure out how to have someone back there that's even capable of running, so that there can be even a little bit of a threat. Like, they put in Ethan Nation at the very end. Why wasn't he just doing it the whole time?
I don't know. Is that hey, Foley, what the?
Yeah, like, what are we doing, Foley? Grandpa Ed, what's happening here?
Billy Kemp's back there to catch punts, nothing else.
And it's incapable of doing anything else because he's injured still.
So
this is not a Billy Kemp problem. This is a Nebraska problem, right? They don't have anybody else that they trust to catch a punt. Like, I get Alex Bullock struggled.
Yes, and here's the other thing, too, is you're asking him to fair catch punts, right? Guess what? He fair caught punts, but guess what?
He also fair caught two.
Inside the
10-yard
line.
One of them was, like, on the 5. And listen, I understand on at least one of those, Michigan State probably downs it. But make them make the play.
Make them make the play. The ball is going
to make the play.
The ball is going to bounce weird.
Yes.
Some way. And guess what? If it gets down at the 1, fine. But you're not supposed to freaking catch the ball at the 5-yard line.
No.
That's just
make them make a play.
Billy Kemp has been doing this
for 4 now. How long was he at Virginia?
Virginia for 30. I don't know. When George Washington crossed the freaking Delaware.
He's not young.
That's the reason why he's back there, is because he's done it for so many years.
Yeah.
And he's fair catching punts at the 5. What happened to this team that has seemed to play, for the most part, kind of smart football, other than the dumb turnovers?
So this is his 6th year. He played 5 years. Okay, the first year was like a retro. Okay, he played 4 full years at Virginia.
Catching punts.
And now he's in his 5th full year at Nebraska. And we still aren't like, hey, maybe we don't catch it inside the 10. Isn't that like, if you know one thing about returning kicks, that's the only thing I really like. That's the only thing I know. Hey, let's not catch it inside the 10. That's the one thing that's like the first thing you're taught about returning punts.
I have played 0 meaningful downs of football in my life.
The same here.
And I know that.
Yes, because it's the first thing everyone learns about returning punts. Hey, don't catch it inside the 10. Make them make a play.
And so, like, going forward, I'm assuming Billy Kemp's going to get more healthy.
I would assume. Hopefully he's allowed to run next week.
Or Ethan Nation's back there to hopefully run forward.
You have to have somebody back there that's allowed to run. That you can both trust to catch the ball and run forward. This is very basic here. Do we have anyone that can catch a football and then run forward?
So, like, when they had Alex Bullock back there against Purdue, why couldn't that have been Ethan Nation then?
Yeah, and they've talked about how they've liked Ethan Nation a lot this year.
Just a question.
I don't really understand it.
Just a question.
It's a reasonable question. I think it's a real question.
Just seems, again, with, like we talk about the running back, just mishmash. Oh, is this going to work? I don't know. We'll try it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I look at and I'm like, oh, that can't be any worse. And I think it might be the same. Don't get me wrong. You put Jeff Sims in it might be the same.
Right.
It's not going to be worse.
But at least you tried something different at quarterback.
Like, I'm having a really hard time. I'm just having a really hard time with this.
This had to be a game where the defense and the special teams had to do something similar that they did last week.
Yeah, listen, if you're going to win ugly, you can't have – and the defense played okay. I didn't think they played great. Michigan State literally got gifted a touchdown, but they probably get at least 3 on that drive anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the defense didn't play great, especially compared to how they played the last few weeks. So that was disappointing because I don't think Michigan State's better.
They are not. Again, they're atrocious.
Yeah, they're not a good football team.
No.
So that was disappointing, but they still played good enough to win, I thought. Special teams did not play good enough to win. Offense did not play good enough to win. If you're going to win ugly games, 2 of those 3 have to play good enough to win. And only 1 did. And if the offense isn't going to play good enough to win, they can't actively help you lose.
I was hoping that, I was going into this game worried that this would be the game where the defense like breaks, because they have just been in so many crappy positions up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you could sit here and say that the defense broke, but they also just didn't do that extra.
Dominate. Yeah.
They didn't get that pick 6 like a lot of people were kind of hoping for, and they didn't force a fumble at a timely.
No, they didn't get any turnovers today. They needed turnovers today.
They needed something like that to really spark this
defense or special teams to make a splash play because the offense was incapable.
And it just didn't happen.
And it didn't happen. I mean, that's when you're trying to win games like this, that has to happen, especially if your offense is just pooping down all over themselves and then playing in it.
Deep fried ass.
Yeah, it is. Deep fried ass.
Like
that
what?
Was the offense today.
That's the title of this episode. Deep fried ass.
Nebraska. Deep fried ass? Question mark?
Exclamation point. That's what I would say. Just disappointing.
Yeah.
So
top to bottom, honestly.
You were worried that this would be kind of a letdown game, just knowing that, okay, let's get to 6, bowl game.
Yeah.
Michigan State sucks. Let's go. This is it.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
No, and I'll be interested to see how they respond, right? Because the last time they played this poorly was against Michigan. They responded really well against Illinois. Obviously, Maryland's better than Illinois. That's going to be the challenge, is the response now has to be against a better team versus a worse team. You can respond against Michigan against a worse Illinois team. Can you respond from the Michigan State game against a better Maryland team?
Yeah,
that's going to be the tricky part for me.
Just this team didn't, the whole game, they just didn't look very prepared.
No, I thought they looked really flat from the start.
It's too bad.
It really is, because this was, I mean, everything was on the table for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is on the table. And now you're just kind of back to the please, dear God, win one more game. Like, that's kind of where we're back to. And I don't like living there. I don't like living in that place.
We've lived that. And, even back when things were really bad for the past few years, you couldn't even say that because they'd be a few games away from a bowl game.
I think there was 1 year they were 5-6 going into Iowa and had a chance to make a bowl game.
You're right.
That was it, though. That's the only time. I don't want to be in that spot. I don't want to be going into Iowa at 5-6. I mean, like, oh, dear God, we need to beat Iowa.
We need this.
In Brian Ferentz's swan song.
The greatest performance by an OC of all time.
Oh,
Brian Ferentz.
I can't. I need it to happen before then. I'm not sure I can handle that.
Look, in bottom line, this game really freaking sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And you cannot end the season going winless. You can't do it.
No, you can't go 5-7 here. That would be atrocious.
And I know that maybe maybe that's me.
No, whatever positive energy that you had accumulated over the course of the season would evaporate with 5-7.
It would.
If you can get to even, like I said, just to 6-6, you can get to the bowl game. You can get the extra month of prep. You can play in a bowl game again. Give your fans somewhere to travel. Like, that is enough. It really is. It's enough for this year. Going 5-7 would kill a lot of goodwill.
Ravi, we were sitting here last week talking about how we were going to go streaking through Hurrdat Sports.
But yeah,
we were sitting in the
dartboard enclave,
talking about how we were going to run through Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista, just streaking through the entire place, getting arrested, celebrating, hanging off light poles on Dodge Street if they were to go 8-4. We were feeling really good last week.
We were feeling good last week.
And this game is disappointing because, again, like, we have the adult in the room. This team looks prepared. It looks like this coaching staff, again, is squeezing everything out of these players.
Mm-hmm.
We were feeling good, except for today, where it just seemed like it all kind of reverted back.
Mm-hmm.
Dare I say, Minnesota-esque week one.
Yeah.
Like
in the neighborhood. Yeah.
This team kind of looked Scott Frost-esque, where it just looked kind of, I don't want to say lazy.
No, but flat.
Probably flat. There you go. Flat's a better word.
Yeah, because I don't think it was an effort thing. I think it was tight.
Right.
I think they were tight.
They were tight.
And I don't like that. They didn't have an edge to them.
There was no edge. There you go. No RDV. They like this relentless, disciplined, violent.
Yeah.
Just lacked in all those things today, I think.
Yeah, there was not, I don't think, any of the R, the Ds, or the Vs here. A
lot of INTs, a lot of
WTFs, a lot of all those
OMGs.
things.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, any final thoughts on the game today? Just anything in general.
I think so. Again, Nebraska need to get one more somehow, some way. Scratch, claw, just like they've been doing all year.
Yep.
This game, just like all the other games, it was ugly. They made mistakes. It didn't work out in their favor this time.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we got to ask the defense. We got to ask the special teams to do things that are extraordinary. Because if you look at the quarterback room, no matter who you go with, there's going to be turnovers. Mm-hmm. There's going to be mistakes made.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to need your other aspects of the game, the other realms of the game to really step up and make splash plays. So you can make the change at quarterback all you want. You can go to Purdy, but you're going to need other people to step up and play with RDV and not WTF going forward.
Yeah.
And maybe run Emmett Johnson more.
Yeah, for sure run Emmett Johnson more. I need 20 carries out of Emmett Johnson every game. I need 20 carries. Yeah, I think you're going to have a really hard time continuing to get people to rally around Heinrich Haarberg when it continues to look like this.
Fair.
I think as much as anything, Chubba Purdy just gives you a fresh perspective on a game or a fresh perspective on a series or whatever he gets in for, if he gets in at all. That to me is as important as, okay, whether he's better or not.
Right.
He's just not the guy that's been pissing down his leg for 4 games. And yeah, Nebraska won 3 of those. I get that, but it's been bad.
And who knows, maybe Chubba's the guy that we're talking about going, they rallied around Chubba.
Yeah, who
they
knows?
Rallied around him.
I mean, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, whatever it was, it's not like anybody was thrilled that Haarberg was going to start football games.
Not at all.
And he, after the first couple games, has been exactly what we were afraid he was going to be. So I don't understand this, oh, you can't bench Haarberg. Like, really?
You can.
I feel like you can.
You can do it.
He doesn't have the single number. He doesn't have the single digit that's
right.
supposed to be so important.
Right. That's true.
So if you're not going back to Sims, that's fine. I can deal with that because it's not like he's looked much better. But if you're telling me, and he has said, we've got 3 quarterbacks we can win with.
He said that.
Then, okay, prove it.
Don't talk about it, be about it. And look, if we've known anything about Rule,
he's been telling us the truth. So I have no reason to believe that Chubba isn't capable of winning ball games. Now, maybe he's saying that in like a coach speak way of like, we believe our defense and special teams will be good enough that we can win on anybody with the quarterback. Coach speak. But he's been pretty candid for the most part.
Yeah.
I think if he says that, he genuinely believes they could win a game with Chubba at quarterback. And maybe he didn't get the reps he needed this week to get a look, but he sure as hell better get some of those reps this week. Because you can't tell me the answer's out there as what we've seen currently. Because it hasn't been. That is not the answer.
And look, if things aren't going well with Purdy,
you can always go back.
That's right.
You can always go back. This isn't like going from Sims to Haarberg, where Sims was like your guy.
Yeah.
Chubba's just like hey, maybe we want to see anything else right now.
Yeah.
Like anything in the world.
Basically, it's a what do you have to lose kind of situation.
Exactly.
Besides another game, of course.
Which, listen, they were already getting their ass kicked today anyway.
Yeah.
I know it was never more than a 10-point game, but they were getting their ass kicked today.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, again,
I'm with you.
What do you have to lose?
I'm with you. I probably wasn't with you 7-ish days ago, but I'm with you now.
I wasn't calling for Chubba 7 days ago either.
Chubba.
I wasn't with me 7 days ago.
Chubba.
But I can't keep watching this out of Harburg.
It's painful.
The risk reward has flipped completely in the wrong direction.
It was painful before, but they were winning.
Yes,
it's
you can live
now,
with it.
Not as livable now.
Not at all. This is not a sustainable situation at the quarterback spot. They have to figure something out. And regardless of who's in there, quit trying to throw the ball 30 damn times. Stop it.
Just because you made the change at quarterback, that doesn't mean you need to throw it more.
Yeah. Just,
okay.
Let's keep it chill here. Let's be cool. Let's run Emmett Johnson.
As Rule said to an assistant earlier in the game, calm the fuck down. You guys did see that, right? Calm the fuck down.
I need the meme. I need the Coach Rule meme of him mouthing.
Just a gif of calm the fuck.
Yes, I need that because right now I need something here. It's killing me. Deep breath.
We're okay. They're 5-4. They're above 500 still. One more game away from the full game.
Just give me one more win. I'd like get one more win here. That's all I'm asking for.
Just one.
Just one more win.
Please.
Just give me one more.
I'm praying.
Like I know Coach Rule is like, hey, like you only want one more? I was like, yeah, I kind of only do want one more.
Rule, look, I get it. You're going to settle for 6? Yeah,
yes, I will. I will 100% settle for 6 and be thrilled to death about it.
Rule, you have not been around here for the past 7-ish years.
I know you're new here, but yes, I am 100% willing to settle for 6. I am definitely willing to settle.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you joining us. That is your post-game spread. You can listen to more of Jared on the No Block, No Rock podcast. And, of course, you can hear me every weekday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. on Hurrdat Sports Radio with Andrew Rogers. That's on Hurrdat Sports Twitter, YouTube, as well as AM 590, ESPN Omaha, and ESPN Tri-Cities. That's the post-game spread. We'll talk to you next week.